What's going on, top producer? Alexander Fazelani here from Design for Agents. And today we are going to discuss the three things that are potentially costing you clients. So, as a real estate agent with 10 years plus of experience, having my own agents, dealing with a bunch of peers and seeing people succeed and fail in the business, I've boiled it down to these three, right? So there's an exuberant amount of mistakes that we all make and are constantly making. But if you avoid these three things, you are going to see success a lot quicker than someone who doesn't, right? So with that being said, let's just dive right into these three things. So the three things that are costing you clients, okay? So the first one that I want to discuss is slow response time. We're in a technological age, we're in a data driven world, right? If you're still kind of like, oh, I have this lead and it's only mine, I'll call them later, you're doing a horrible job already, right? So when you get an inbound lead from Zillow, Facebook ads, Google ads, right? You should have a strategy in place as soon as you can reach out to them, right? Because that lead isn't only yours. If they're being served your ad or they're on Zillow, guess what? They're not just contacting you, they're contacting a whole bunch of other people as well. And other people are getting their data. And the first person who reaches out is probably going to win that deal. So, with that being said, we want to reach out as fast as possible, and we also want to reach out as efficient as possible. So, whether that mean have some automations in regards to text messaging, email, and some type of notification reminding you to call somebody is super duper important, right? For me, like if you want to keep it simple and not spend a ton of money on a CRM, just when a lead comes in, excuse yourself, make sure that you're shooting at least a automated text message like, hey, it's Alex with exp realty or whatever real estate company you're with. I saw that you were interested in one of our properties. When is a good time to reach out? Just having that as like a copy and paste already set up goes a long way, right? Because they'd be like, oh, I can talk now. They're like, all right, cool. As soon as I'm done with my showing, I'm gonna reach out to you, right? You already made that initial contact. You're solidifying that communication, even though you're already out and about doing business, right? So having something as simple as that really goes a long way. Also, this also applies to like customers who are reaching out to you that you already converted, right? So maybe they're reaching out to you on Monday at 10 a.m. and they're like, hey, I saw these properties, and you're not responding till nighttime. Like, there's no reason why a whole day should go by before you respond to a text message. I get it that like, hey, listen, like you're not at the beck and call of everybody. However, if you're doing business, you gotta do business. You gotta show up, right? If a for sale by owner says, reach out to me in a month, and you reach out to them 3 months later, you don't deserve that deal. You need to show up when they tell you that they want to contact you, and you have to actually stay in contact and be consistent with it. Because if you're not consistent, you're not going to make deals happen. The second thing that you want to avoid is messy and inconsistent branding. So this comes in many different formats, right? So this is why me and Amanda always preach like, hey, listen, you work under a brokerage, but you don't work for that brokerage. So if you set yourself up to be so Remax centric or Keller Williams centric or EXP centric or whatever your brokerage is centric, and you like take on their colors, you take on all their branding with their branding material and all that stuff, guess what? You're shooting yourself in the foot, because if you ever decide to change your brokerage, your marketing becomes inconsistent, right? And unfortunately, we're real estate agents, we're not designers, right? So thank God for Amanda, because like sometimes I'll have like a red and blue or a red and white marketing material. I'll send one postcard, and then the next month I'm sending another postcard, but it's like black and gold, right? Like we don't want to do that. We want to keep consistent messaging, consistent style, because most people won't remember you right off the bat, so they're not going to remember your face per se. They're going to look at like the aesthetics. So they're going to say, is this the same aesthetics or is this like a different person? Right? Then they're not going to remember your name that much, right? So for you want to make sure that everything is cohesive. Your Instagram is cohesive, your marketing templates are cohesive, your flyers are cohesive. Everything kind of has a brand color, a brand style, a brand voice, right? You want to make sure everything is consistent. You don't want to just have like randomness everywhere, because the more random you get, the less they're going to remember you. Okay, so you want to keep it concise. You want to keep your messaging similar. You want to keep your branding color similar. If you have any like struggles with this and you feel like, hey, listen, I'm not a designer, I need to kind of come up with some cohesive style and strategies, go check out the Real Estate Marketing Vault. It's amazing. Amanda has designed it. She has all the designs there, all the carousels there, so you can build out your brand and have your voice come through your branding and make sure that everything is consistent. All right. The last thing that I see is that a lot of people are great at speaking to individuals. They're great at meeting people. They're meeting people at clubs. They're meeting people, like when I mean clubs, I mean like, things you're interested in, like softball, BJJ, whatever it is that you're doing. Sometimes actual dancing clubs. They're like great at meeting people, but they never ask for business, right? They feel like, oh, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to thing. But I like to follow the 2-3 rule, right? So 2 contacts, I want to talk to somebody and not talk anything real estate related. And then the third contact, I always ask for some type of business, right? So the first two contacts with somebody, I'm just like shooting the crap with them. I'm just like, hey, how's everything going? What's going on? How's your life? Getting a lot of information about them. If they ask me how my business is doing, I'm like, oh, it's going great. If they ask me how the market is, oh, it's going really amazing. I'm working with this client right now. It's been cool, blah, blah. All right. So with that being said, let's talk later, right? I'm not going to ask them for any business. But that third time that I speak to, I'm like, hey, would you happen to know anybody? Have you ever thought about selling? Do you know anybody that's looking to move out of your neighborhood? I'm trying to expand my business, right? Because after those first 2 contacts, they see that you're not just in the relationship for business, you're in the relationship for a long haul. So that's what we want to focus on. So that is not asking, like not asking for business is like the biggest downfall for most people. Like they'll go to a listing presentation, give them their marketing strategy, give them their awesome branding, and then they're like, all right, well, think about it, and then we'll talk later. And they don't just ask for the business right there on the spot. For me, I like to assume the close. I always be like, hey, listen, so when you're ready, you can sign right here. This is the structure, blah, blah, blah. This is how I get paid. This is blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Right. Worst thing they could do is say no, and then you can ask them later. But that's what it's all about. So if you avoid late responses and you actually, respect your customer's time and your client's time and actually get in contact with them right away, you're going to do great. If you have consistent branding and messaging, you're going to do great. And if you ask for the business and actually always, in the concept of ABC, always be closing, you're going to do great as well, right? But if you follow the 2/3 rule, you're going to do amazing. So if you focus on these 3 things and you don't worry about any of the other mistakes that can happen in a real estate transaction, and you just focus on like remedying these 3, you're going to do great as a real estate agent. So I hope this is helpful to you, especially if you're a newer agent. As always, you can always reach out to us. We're an open book when it comes to anything real estate. And with that being said, I'm wishing you many accepted offers, a whole lot of clients, and a whole lot of closings. And I'll see you in the next video. Adios.